Well, you have finally got here. You are listening to the Erskin Music Podcast. Here, by popular demand, we discuss life, culture, Christ, and of course, music. These half-hour broadcasts are perfect for a commute, coffee time, chat, or any other gap in your schedule where you want to put great content. So without further ado, let's join the conversation today, already in progress.
For all the cutting news that you could possibly want, the Erskin Music Show is for you, people. I'm for you. I'm here for you. This is a live look at St. Peter's Square as thousands of mourners come to pay their respects to Pope Francis. I wanted to start the show by saying good morning to everybody, good afternoon to everybody, good evening to everybody. But on this particular show, I got to do something. It's the Erskin Music Show, so you know I'm always on something. There's always something swirling around in my mind. My mind does not stop going. This is an amazing opportunity. This is an incredible opportunity. Anytime there's a funeral or an occasion for people to think about the cessation of life and then what comes next is an amazing opportunity for we who are followers of Christ. Because we're thinking about eternal things. The book of Ecclesiastes has poked through. And as we think about Pope Francis, we'll be talking about some of the things related to his life. I'll give some bullet points, and then I'll have a little response here a little bit later. But this is an amazing opportunity for us to get down to things that actually matter. Theology that actually matters. Theology that's right there on the ground. But here's what we're not going to do. I'm going to put some respect on his name as somebody who was created in the image of God. Not my Pope. I'm not Catholic. You guys know I don't play. But I have lots of Catholic friends that are out there. And I reached out to some of them yesterday. And I just, hey, how you doing? What's going on there? Praying for you. And, there's going to come a time for some serious conversations. But I don't know that yesterday was today. As I was watching some of my evangelical friends tap dance on the grave of St. Francis, I just want to say I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of you. Why do that? Why do that? We're going to get down to brass tacks on this particular episode of the Erskin Music Show and other episodes of the Erskin Music Show. I mean, that's how we do on this show. But no tap dancing on people's grave. At least if that's what you expect. If that's what you want from this show, go ahead and turn it off. I won't be doing that. I'm not going to be disrespecting anybody. I'm going to be speaking clearly to what the Bible has to say about issues related to justification, salvation, our continuance in faith, how grace works ex opere operato. I'll say some things about that, but no disrespect to the Pope. There'll be no disrespect to the Pope on this show. We're not starting out like that. We're not doing that on the Erskin Music Show. But what we are going to do is I'm going to give some reflections upon his life, reflections upon my life, your life. I'm talking about everybody. Matter of fact, Big Head, before we get to this is a live picture here from St. Peter's Square. A good one. Let's get it. All right. 12 inspiring quotes by Pope Francis. Now, I don't have any illusion that this was created by one of the cardinals or somebody that had all of the quotations in mind or all of the requisite knowledge of his quotations. Some of them seem a bit informal, but on the merit of the quotes themselves, the fact that he actually said some things, you could come up with 12 quotes from Erskin and they would be the dumbest things that you would ever heard in your life. And so I do know that the context of these quotes matters. And I do know that the person comprising these also matters. If people were to write a biography? I would write the autobiography. So if they were to write a biography of my life and they were to, mix up certain things or say certain things or just gloss over certain things in life, we would want them to get things accurate, but we wouldn't necessarily hold that against them in terms of the reference of their accuracy with regards to my life, because there definitely have been some low moments and there may be some higher moments in the future on the show that people could look at and say, well, he specifically said this because we have the reference to the transcripts. Nonetheless, there are 12 inspiring quotes by Pope Francis. But as I said before, let me do some of this work because I think that it is important to recognize that Pope Francis, in a series of firsts, And if you have anything that you want to add to this, I don't want to make this Wikipedia and just like public comment section here in reference to his life. But if, Catholic friends are watching this today, and with all due respect to them and their, situation of mourning, if you want to add anything to this discussion, you can add that in the comment section, or I can maybe send you a link that gets you on the show. Hey, how about that? Depending on who you are, there are certain Catholic friends who I know. I know you know. So if there's anything inaccurate here, you can type that in the comment section here. If there's anything you want to add to the discussion, you can type that in the comment section. If you're one of those Catholic friends that I know you know, and you want to come on the show, I can probably work that out. I know a guy who's a producer for the show, and he can probably get you on the show. Before that, I'll just do this. So, among the first for Pope Francis, he was the first pope from the Americas. Argentinian pope, born in Argentina, and first from the Americas. And so we think of America and we think, oh, he was American pope from the Americas. And we think of the United States of America. I know I did. I'm very Western centric on this show. I'm looking at a global map. And fortunately, on the global map, it has Africa in the center of the map, not the United States. But we typically tend to do that. Us imperialists, the United States of America when it comes to the Western world, United States of America when it comes to the Americas, we're the only thing that is there. We might be the greatest thing that is there. I'm going to go ahead and say it. In the sense of economic prosperity and capitalism and free market philosophy. But certainly in the Americas, I have been in the Americas and had some of the most engaging conversations with actual believers who are there. I've been in various contexts in which the simplicity of life trumps anything that we have in America. And so the Americas, he's the first pope from the Americas, Argentina. Man, y'all done got me saying Argentina. The first pope that was elected from the Jesuit order. The Jesuits, I enjoyed studying them in church history, but the Jesuits now are not the same thing as the Jesuits then. They've undergone, like many root groups that are out there, they have undergone some changes over the years. The first to take the name Francis after Francis of Assisi. And so when you watch or hear about Pope Francis's life and the fact that he was there for the common people, that he was condescending to, he never lived in the papal apartment. He was a man of common people. He was a man that wanted to condescend to the poor. He was one who wanted to be acquainted with the sufferings of those. And I think you need to keep that in context when you hear some of these quotes, that he was the first to take the name Francis of Assisi. He was the first to visit Iraq, meeting the Shiite Muslim cleric in 2021. His humility and simplicity, and all of this is in the show notes for today. His advocating for migrants. In Rome in 2013, the island of Lampedusa, to meet with the newly arrived migrants. He denounced the globalization of indifference shown to the would-be refugees and prayed for dead immigrants in the U.S.-Mexico border in 2016 and brought 12 Syrian Muslims to Rome and his place in the refugee camp in Lesbos, Greece. So reaching out to people, acquainted with people's suffering, not overlooking the migrants, not overlooking the immigrants, not overlooking those who were downcast. And I say that in his life, that should not, and I'd say this with all due respect, but that should not be remarkable. If you're a follower of Jesus Christ, that should be the same lens by which we see life. Somebody, wait a minute, I got a button for this. Somebody got to say amen on that. That just should be. We just should look not over, not around, not ignoring the disenfranchised, but look to see what is our appropriate response to the disenfranchised. That should be obvious. That should not be remarkable. And yet, we find that sometimes in some of the highest offices of leadership, it is remarkable that people would actually condescend to look down to people who are not like them. They would condescend to look to the marginal who can, in a very transactional culture like we have in the United States of America, they can do absolutely nothing for you. They can't help you at all. You're the one who has the opportunity to help them, and there's nothing coming in return, monetarily, so to speak. So when I say that with all due respect to Pope Francis, that should not be uncommon we should all have that attitude, but we don't all have that attitude. And I appreciate that he had that attitude. And here's one that's interesting, and I think commentators are right to note this. This is AP News. His stance on LGBTQLILUIS elemental P. I don't even know how many letters they've added these days. But early in his papacy, he signaled a more welcoming stance toward the LGBT. I'll just read here. I won't put all those extra letters on there because I don't know what kind of letters they have today. They may have taken some away. They may have added. It's Earth Day. I don't even know. They may have added Earth and space and science and STEM and magnet and mathematics. I don't even know what all they added today. But I'm just going to read LGBTQ+. And I guess that gets all the other things that are out there. He had a fairly welcoming stance toward them, declaring on that, I don't know if that was the famous plane ride or if the reporter that asked him the question, but anyway, his quotation was, "Who am I to judge?" I think that was the famous plane ride. When he was coming back, I forget where he was at, but the reporter asked him the question about different associations with different group and kind of his welcoming stance toward, who am I to judge? That became a famous statement of Pope Francis because as the Pope, the pontiff, the supreme pontiff, he has for the billion plus Catholics that are in the world, billion? I think it's over a billion. Catholics who follow his papal decrees, he speaks ex cathedra, from the chair, as it were, as the derivative here on earth of the voice of God. So when it comes to somebody who has the capacity, at least for those who believe this, to judge, that statement is quizzical, curious.
Well, that certainly gives a sense of why people enjoy this show. Very engaging, very heartfelt. We will return to the conversation in a few moments, but first, let's thank our sponsors, Life Action Ministries, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and you for all your awesome support. And Holt International. Thanks so much to our partners who make such a difference.
Thanks, Jason. Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Steve of Dawn and Steve Plus. We're a podcast, and if you've not checked it out, I hope you'll do that. You can visit our website. It is dawnandsteveplus.com, or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.
We do hope that you'll be able to join us, even as you continue to follow Erskin Music. Erskin does such a great job of bringing out the topics. They're not all easy.
Right. I love that he'll tackle just about any topic.
He will tackle any topic and invite you to the conversation, which is always a plus because learning the art of conversation, well, it's much needed.
It certainly is. And he does a great job with those conversations. So Erskin, thanks for doing that. Thanks for tackling those tough topics. And thanks for listening to the Erskin Music Show.
All right, let's get back to the show. This is where it gets good.
You do remember that he had no, I say, formal training with respect to his upbringing. He did have some specialization in social work, which I do think is important. But whereas you would have had John Paul, who would have been a trained in philosophy, and that would have been his specialty, as you saw that in Pope John Paul's tenure. And then also after him, I want to say, it wasn't Ratzinger. He became Benedict. He became Benedict. I'm trying to keep all my popes in order. There hadn't been that many in my lifetime, but Benedict, he was a trained theologian. And so you don't see the same type of formal training. And so maybe that was a theological blunder. He was asked that 2023 and declared that being homosexual is not a crime, and later approved blessings for same-sex couples, provided they don't resemble marriage vows. And so lessening for those that wanted him to be a little bit more progressive, I don't think he quite satisfied you, but hang on a second. Hang on. There may be a Pope Peter that's coming here relatively soon. I think you guys have about 20 or 30 days. You're going to have the funeral. And then I think there's cardinals that will meet, all the cardinals, and then the College of the Cardinals will meet, and then you will select a new Pope. And it may be Pope Peter or somebody named Peter. We'll get into that later. He addressed a clergy abuse scandal. There were many critics of him. In his first years as the Pope, critics having... This was interesting. Yeah, the criticism that came is, what do we do when Pope Benedict, who normally there's a succession that takes place after a Pope dies, and then you have another Pope? What do we do with Pope Benedict, who actually retired? So he was the Pope, the representative of God on earth, but then he retired and he wasn't the Pope anymore. Can you do that? Well, there was controversy immediately because you then have what to some people is two representatives of God. Obviously, College of the Cardinals has elected Pope Francis, but this person who was at least had some divine knowledge that was flowing through him at one particular time is just hanging out fishing now. And so that was unusual. There's some reformers who were concerned about that. But I want to get to, and thank you guys for enduring that. I want to get to some of the, we're at 58 minutes. I'm going to get to some of these quotes, and this won't take very long. But I'm going to give you a yes or no. A yes or no. I can take it or leave it. I can take it or leave it. Pope Francis. All right. So I was trying to be kind to the comment section here today. All right. Get me down there. Get me down there for some of these inspiring quotes from Pope Francis. And let's get going. Number one. I'm inspired. God never tires of forgiving us. We're the ones who tire of seeking his mercy. Where's my sound effect for that one? I'm going to say, what is the one? I'm sorry. That's why I need a producer for this show. That's why I need somebody that's off the camera who knows. Get him. I don't know, guys. I can't find it. Ooh, there's a dog. Nah. Anyway. We're not taking that one. God never tires of forgiving us. We are the ones who tire of seeking his mercy. First of all, we don't seek his mercy. We're not seekers of God. That's our big problem. If you're watching the Erskin Music Show today, we are not seeking God. That is not our natural state. If we're doing any type of religious thing from our natural state, it is because we want the accolades, or we want to be approved of, or we want to be celebrated. It is certainly not for God. In fact, Isaiah sussed us out on this one. Our righteousness is as filthy rags before a holy God. The book of Amos, other prophets who were saying, who ask you guys to bring this mingling of blood and these sacrifices and all these different things that you're doing? You worship me with your mouths, Isaiah, but your hearts are far from me. That's our natural state. We don't come seeking God. And so the God never tiring of forgiving us, we're the ones who tire of seeking his mercy. Nah. Oh, I wonder what happens here.
Epic fail.
All right. Number 2. Life is a journey. When we stop, things don't go right. Now, I said before, I don't know who put these together. You can come up with 12 of the worst quotes in the history of Erskin and put them out there in a book about my life, and it would be the most boring book that you would possibly ever read. You got to actually know somebody to know somebody. And I know that context matters. So with all due respect, I don't even like this quote. Life is a journey. When we stop, things don't go right. What do you mean when we die? Stop, things don't go right? Or life is a journey? And again, context matters. Life is a journey. Okay. When we stop the journey, I'm assuming, the way that sentence is constructed, things don't go right. Unless the Lord tells you to stop. When the Lord tells you to go, you go, Abram. When the Lord tells you to stop, you stop, Abram. Did things go right? Yes and no. I'm reading the book of Genesis right now, so that's top of mind for me. So yeah, no.
Big fail.
I didn't like that one. I didn't like that. Did you like that one? I didn't like it. God's love is the only power capable of making all things new. I'll take that one. I'll take that. I like this quote. Have the courage to be truly happy. Oh, man. I didn't like that one. Have the courage to be truly happy. What is this? Our Daily Bread? No, Our Daily Bread has some fire devotions. Their video devotions, look, they're coming along. We used to make fun of Our Daily Bread. But for those of you who are making fun of Our Daily Bread, Do you know the first discipleship tool that I ever received when I became a Christian? I had King James Version of the Bible, and I had Brother Fred Richardson, who was a usher at my church, who gave me a little usher badge. I would stand in the back of the door, and I would open the doors of the church whenever it was time to open the doors of the church, and I would close the doors of the church, and I would take up the offering, and I would do all the different things of the church as a junior usher. Brother Fred Richardson, the first devotion that he gave me was Our Daily Bread. And I thought, this is cool. It has the scripture, and then it has some sentences and things that go along with the scriptures. It's helping me to understand the Bible. Now, obviously, didn't stay there. Our Daily Bread is not Greek and Hebrew, but it was a little soft serve. This comment is a little soft serve for me. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Do you like this quote? Have the courage to be truly happy. I feel like every self-help guru in the history of the world has said something squishy and mellow like that, squishmallow like that, and I just don't like it. What if we have the courage to be truly unhappy so that we can be happy in Jesus? That's kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, but anyway, I didn't like this quote. And again, we need to check our facts. Maybe he didn't say this. Maybe this is his worst quote. Maybe if he was alive today, he would be like, I don't really want you to use that quote. I got some better ones. Let me think of some better lines. Number 5, we must reaffirm the right of children to grow up in a family with a father and a mother. I kind of like this quote. I like the direction that this quote is going from Pope Francis. I don't really like the quote, though. We must reaffirm the right of children. Well, they always had that right. When did they lose that right? I mean, I know that we get into some Democrat and Republican stuff and the nanny state and all the different things that are going out there. We could talk about some of those things. This is not the show for that. This is not our time. We'll get back to that. But we must reaffirm the right of children to grow up with a family with a father and a mother. They always had that right. They always had that right, but they often don't have those circumstances. And sometimes there's not much you can do about the circumstances except to come in alongside with some series of aid for those who don't have a father and a mother. But of course, that's the design of God. That's Adam and Eve and the book of Genesis. Again, all roads going back to Genesis. So I don't know what we need to reaffirm there. It was always affirmed. If you're watching the Erskin Music Show, I've always affirmed that. I've always affirmed not just the right, but the necessity of having a mother and a father. All right. Number 6, we're halfway there. We're about to close the show out. Living together is an art. It's a patient art. It's a beautiful art. It's fascinating. And by that, context matters. He doesn't mean out of wedlock people who are living together. That's not what he means. That's not what he means on that quote. It's a patient art. It's a beautiful art. It's fascinating. Did he really say this? Can somebody fact check the show? At this point, I feel like the show is losing credibility because did he really say that? Is this what we were going to say of Pope Francis? Like all the meritorious things that he did? Living together is an art. It's a patient art. It's a beautiful art. It's fascinating. Did he really say this? Somebody fact check me on this because maybe he said this. I'm sure he said a lot of different things, but this is kind of Captain Obvious. I don't know. I didn't like it. I see the church as a field hospital after battle. Almost like that quote. I almost like that quote. Except the gates of hell will not prevail. The gates of hell will not prevail. I listened to that over the weekend. It is a field hospital. We do have the marginalized. We do have the broken. We do have those who are in need of compassion. We do have those who are in need of support. But we out sharing that gospel. Hopefully you're out sharing that gospel. We out doing that work. Not for our salvation, but because of our salvation. Suckers. All right. So the church is the nuclear weapon of the world. I don't know what we'd be. The aircraft carrier of the world, the battleship of the world, who also has an infirmary. That's kind of the way I look at life. It's kind of the way I read scripture. Battleship, where are we going? We can set sail in any direction, and there's work to be done. So let's circumnavigate to the right, to the left, up, down, all around for folks who need the gospel of Jesus Christ. And for those who get wounded in the battle, and for those who are struggling in the battle, we have an area for you. We can help you out. We can make you right. We can get you better so that you can get back in the battle.
Well, you probably already know that when you hear that sound, there's music on the way. After all, this is kind of a music show. Sit back and enjoy. All the music can be easily found on your favorite digital distribution channels. Turn up the volume and here we go.
I'm a self-made man with my well-laid plans, and I was taught to do it on my own. But I've tried and failed, and I've been derailed. From dust you picked me up, and now I know. Victory is here. It overwhelms my worn and weary soul. Nothing I could do, what I don't just not overcome and made me whole. Oh, Greece made the first move. That is greater than all I see. Bruce made the first move. Oh, Grace made the first move. Oh, Grace made the first move. Oh, Grace made the first move. Nothing in my hands, I'm free. Send me to your cross, I cling to know. Grace made the first move. Grace made the first move. Oh, Grace made the first move.
Back in the battle. So I don't see number 7. I don't see the church that way. Number 8. Sometimes in our lives, tears are the lenses we need to see Jesus. I'll take it. Get back on here, Laura Story. Wait a minute. Number 8. Get that quote back up here. Sometimes in our lives, tears are the lenses that we need to see Jesus. Come on, Laura Story. We're inviting Laura Story to the show. What if your blessing comes through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights is what it takes to know can we get Laura's Story on the show? I'll take number 8, and I'll take Laura's Story any day of the week. Number 8, Pope Francis, thank you. Sometimes in our lives, tears are the lenses we need to see Jesus. Money. A little bit of mercy makes the world less cold and more just. I almost like this quote. If the quote was a little bit of mercy makes the world less cold and more compassionate, then again, I don't have the context for this. So this is truly an episode in idiocy. at least this segment of it. But I would have said a little bit of mercy makes the world less cold and more compassionate. Because I don't think it makes it more just. But again, the context matters. The context matters. And I don't have the context for this. So 10. I ask you to ensure humanity is served by wealth and not ruled by it. I'll take it. I'm not just going to run roughshod over that. We don't have time. We got to get out of here. I ask you to ensure that humanity is served by wealth and not ruled by it. Man, stewardship. And if you go back to those brief descriptions that I gave of his life and how he was for the common people, the poor, the marginalized, this quote is commensurate. I think this is the best quote that we've heard so far from him in context of his life. With all due respect, I ask you to ensure humanity is served by wealth and not ruled by it. A little wokey there. It was a little wokey, but I could put that together with my ideas of stewardship. Because I'm a very wealthy person. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying in comparison to worldly standards, second world, third world countries that are out there that I've been a part of. I remember walking around in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil and just thinking I don't even know how to describe what it is that I'm seeing. And that happened to me as a young man. And I'm forever marked by seeing that. Not ever to go back to the United States of America where I was thinking yesterday, am I going to stop and get some Subway? No, I've got some Popeye's chicken at the house that we had for Easter. Maybe I want to eat some tacos. I mean, just the very fact that I could have that conversation going on in my mind, I am wealthy. And so stewardship is the way that I see this passage of scripture, not wokeness. Nonetheless, we got to get out of here. Come on. No one can grow in life is not accepting smallness. Worship Jesus, think small. Yes. Smallness is the key, folks. Smallness is the key. That I just said that, so now it becomes a transcript when we stream it through StreamYard. So smallness is the key. You can have, at my funeral services, you can have a picture of me going, smallness is the key. That's it. 11, 12. Let's get out of here. 12. Let's go. Go. God's love is unbounded. It has no limits to it.
We have come to the end of this episode.
Back in the battle.
Don't miss a final word from Erskin.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the Erskin Music Podcast experience. To all of our guests that come on the show, and for all of our sponsors, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And for you who listen to the show, you and I, we make this thing happen by simply being kind to one another in the comment section and then going as followers of Christ and living this thing out. If anybody needs more information, erskinmusic.com is where you start, and then all the nonsense starts, all the social media that's out there. But let's go live it out. See you guys very soon.